Hello, hello. Welcome to Fempreneur True Confessions podcast.
Welcome, everyone. We're so glad to have you all here today. And it is Halloween week and fall. We finally got fall weather. So I'm super excited. And yeah, because it's been green. I've been waiting for some pretty colors and it has not happened. But welcome, everyone, on this Halloween week. I'm Laura, or Oda. And I own a virtual assistant project management agency that helps small businesses really work through building their team and what their business is going to look like as they grow and providing all the help in between and all the things that go on. So we're here for the chaos in business. Since
And
it's
I'm
always
and I'm Angelique with Lady Powerhouse Solutions, and Lady Powerhouse is a heart-centered approach to product and event management, mainly for women entrepreneurs that are already out there on fire, lighting up the world with their passion and their drive, and they're not just starting out. Maybe this isn't their first rodeo, there isn't first business, or they're trying to scale or getting ready to scale or thinking about scaling. Those are the women that we help them achieve their mission in the most authentic way possible. Laura and I both do project management. And you would think, oh, they compete, they're competitors. But what we found was that it felt better to collaborate and support each other than it did to be like, hold information back. Um, that was a mindset that I had because we were both in a coaching group, and one of the things I noticed was when people asked, "What are you guys charging?" Now this is a group of VAs, people who are being trained to be VAs, virtual assistants back in 2019. One of the things I noticed was people weren't giving up those numbers for whatever reason, even though this was a closed coaching group. And so that sense of collaboration for that particular, and I've just been one of those people, you ask me how much I make, I'll tell you. I don't care. Why would I? You know, especially in corporate. They don't like it when you do that in corporate, by the way. You might get fired for that, just saying. But so anyway, that's kind of how we got together and realized, this is not what we're seeing, right? We're not seeing that the women are being open about working with each other, supporting each other. And so our mission with the podcast was to empower women in business and just in life, because you start a business, all that shit come up, okay? You want to deal with past drama, start a business. I'm just saying. So to empower women, right? To live authentically, to support each other, to stop this idea of competition. The only competition you really have is yourself. And so we just thought, well, let's just go out there and model it and find other women that are modeling it, that are doing it, that are willing to talk about it. So without further ado.
Yes, we are going to bring on our guest for today. And we were having a great conversation in the green room. So we're excited to bring her on. And this is Julia Brooks. And she's a speaker and creator of the Nice Girl Sales Method, a proven approach that helps female business owners sell high ticket offers with confidence and heart. With over a decade of experience leading top performing sales teams and generating millions in revenue, Julia now coaches women who feel uncomfortable with sales to find their voice. Her approach, emotional intelligence, mindset work, and practical strategy to show that kindness is a strength, not a weakness, or not a weakness in business. Julia's clients call her the go-to coach for nice girls who want to get rich, and her mission is to help more women realize they don't have to change who they are to succeed in sales. She believes that when done right, sales is just a powerful, heart-led conversation, and every woman deserves to feel good about having it. So, welcome. So glad to have you.
Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful introduction. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. And Julia is hails from Florida as well. I'm in Florida, Laura's in Oklahoma. So not quite neighbors, but we're close enough. I'm actually in the Tampa Bay area at least once a month, sometimes more often than that. Um, Seems like all the good doctors are down there, right? And we do events on weekends occasionally down there. So actually, this past weekend we were in Valrico. Do you know Valrico?
I do, yeah. I actually looked at property there a few years back, and it's a really beautiful area. It's kind of like countryside, but still like in near the city. I
Yeah,
love that area.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they do a really fun event there. I'll give a plug for the venue. It's called Quig's Kava Bar, Kava something. Um,
nice.
and they just opened up, and it's a great venue. They have a little tiny triangle of grass and trees, and they set up a festival there. I think at least once a month, maybe every weekend,
Oh,
and
wow.
have
That sounds
vendors and
amazing.
live music on Saturday nights. So Fridays or Saturdays, I don't know. But anyway, we were there on Saturday, set up. So it was, and they're just such good people. It feels like there's a really good community there. As people were walking through, you get to talking to them, and most of them were from the neighborhood.
Aw, I
Yeah,
love that. That
yeah.
sounds amazing.
So
There's
it's
so
like,
many cute little pop-ups like that in the Tampa Bay area.
hmm it felt like a kind of like the New York kind of vibe, like the 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 little boroughs, around, not a suburb, but it's tighter than that. Um, but yeah, very very cool. So that's where we're at with it. What is it geographically? And today we're gonna talk about what are we talking about? How to cheer other women on. Um, Give generously and still hit every goal. That was something that you mentioned in your intake form. So that's what stuck out to me, and I thought, well, we need to talk about that. And what that, like, how did you come to that conclusion? I think we talk about, like, oh, this is how to do this, that, and the other, but how did you figure that out?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think that growing up, I always kind of had that bone in my body. I was never the girl growing up that was like, "Oh, like, if, Jenny gets on the team but I don't, like that's awful." I was always the girl that if Jenny got on the team, even if I didn't get on the team, I'd be like, "Go, Jenny." Like it just wasn't meant to be for me. And so I think that it always just felt really, really, really natural for me. Even in my line of work, today and what I did previously, I helped women, and that was my what I was all about, is helping women, helping them grow, helping them, first I had a wellness business, and then now I help them in their businesses. And so I don't know, I guess maybe I got it from my mom. My mom always taught me, that women had to stick together and that we had to, cheer each other on and be there for each other. And so, I think that there's also a healthy level of competition, but it's also the feeling inside when you have that competition of like not being a sore loser, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
And, you can race another woman like in a 5K, and like you can hope that you win because like you want, that competitiveness and that funness, but if they win, it's like, go you, like that's amazing for you, like I'm just going to work harder. And I think that the healthiest competition we can have is just with ourselves, and as long as we're always looking at ourselves and where we were previously, like where was I last year versus where I am now, and when I compare myself to that and I'm like, wow, okay, cool, so like that's my real competition, I'm not comparing myself to all these other women, right?
mm-hmm.
I think that it's a very unhealthy, kind of icky place to compete and compare yourself to other women constantly. And so I don't
Yeah.
know. I hope that's a good answer, because it's always been inside of me to cheer other women on. I don't know, I know that it's not as natural for some women. But I think it's just comparing yourself to yourself, and that's it. And then cheering other women on and wanting the best for them, because why wouldn't you? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
We say in with clients all the time, and working with just people in general life. It doesn't matter who you choose. I want you to get the best of what you need. So it may not be me, it may not be anybody else I know. Can I introduce you to someone? because in the end, helping them find the happy spot for them always brings in that, I'm not looking to, everything has to be me and that's the only time I'm going to be happy. I am so excited when I get to cheer others on and be like, oh, good, you got it, yay, and that kind of thing, where you're like, I am so excited and thank God they're going to get the help they need. It was you that gets it, and then everybody wins. And it feels like such a good thing when that always happens. We're always saying that there's a way for everybody to win within that process and not feel shitty.
It's that energetic intention, right? Of just ultimately wanting the good for all, right? The best outcomes for everyone. And if that's your goal, if that's your intention, and that's your energy behind it, then I just talked to a lady the other day. She needed help with something. And I knew I wasn't a good fit for her. And so I saw that someone else had indicated interest because it was in a group that we were in. She's like, hey, I need help with this. Can anybody help me? I'm like, girl, I got you. And I dropped the link. And then I saw somebody else do it. And I know this person. They actually are on my team. And so when I talked to her, I was like, you know what? I'm trying to say her name right. Yvonne is your girl. I saw she dropped a comment, and she's on my team. She does great work. I highly recommend her.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think that when we show up in service and with that intention that you're talking about, then the money and the success shows up as a side effect. If we're focused on the money and the success and constantly, comparing ourselves or, fighting over, over, deals or sales or whatever you want to call it, then we get into a really sticky place because we're not coming from a place of service. We're coming from a place of me versus them, them, them. And so I think just showing up in service and taking care of people and, doing what you can. And like you said, if somebody does, isn't the right fit for you, pass them on to somebody else. I mean, that will come back tenfold to you when you're doing the right thing. And so I completely agree with what you're saying, 100%.
I want to circle back to the competition thing. And then I want to remember, too, to talk about service some more. So don't let me forget, Laura. So the competition thing, I mean, that's close to judgment. And it can put us in such a vacuum, right? A negative space. And so it reminded me that while I don't see him as competition, I do see him, my partner, as a challenger because he's growing in different ways than I am. And he pushes himself, I feel like he pushes himself more than I push myself in different areas, spiritually, mentally, physically, all the things. He's there and he's reminding me of my potential, not my competition, but what I could be better at. And I hope I do that for him as well, right? Like that's kind of the purpose of being in relationship, not just with our, spouses, but with, friends, coworkers, business besties, but it can be, competition can be toxic when we're using it as a tool. When we're not, with the intention isn't right?
Yeah. I mean,
I consider it kind of like the ego side.
Oh, the ego.
My
right.
bad. I did.
It's okay. We know
side.
you struggle with.
I'm just kidding.
She's in delay. So, what were you gonna say, Julia?
I was just gonna say, yeah. Like, I think for me, it just really comes back down to the intention. Like I was part of this running group a few years ago, and I mean, like I didn't participate. I'm not a runner, but they all get together and they run and they sauna together and they go into the cold plunge and they run and like they have a great time with it. And of course, like there's some healthy competition of like who's going to get to the finish line, but it's all from a place of love and it's all from a place of gratitude and cheering each other on and hey, you know what? We're so grateful to be here. Um And so I don't know. I think that for me, it really just comes down to the intention, because where competition can get unhealthy is if we only see it comes from almost to me like a scarcity mindset, right? If I showed up in my business, like I'm in my office right now, if I showed up every morning and I'm like, I have to get 5 clients before Jenny does, because if Jenny gets them, then I won't get the 5 clients. That's a scarcity mindset versus, oh my gosh, there's millions and millions and millions of people that need help. And if Jenny happens to run across these 5 clients and they work with her, amazing for her. Even if a client leaves me, like in the, at the end of my container and goes to somebody else, maybe somebody that I introduced her to, that's amazing. Like that's her journey. And all I want at the end of the day is the best for her and her business. And so she has to do what's right for her. And it's my job to cheer her on, and, almost, with when you're looking at these people that you're helping or competing with, letting them walk their journey and being there when they need you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw
Yeah.
a uh oh, what is his name? Jay Shetty talked about how real friends don't compete, they cheer each other on. Real friends don't feel threatened, they feel motivated. And that's how I feel with Mark, my partner, is
Yeah.
that when he's achieving these things that maybe, and that was another thing. I don't know. Did you ever read the book by Rachel Rogers called We Should All Be Millionaires?
I did not, but it
Okay.
sounds like a good one.
It's a really good book. But one of the things she brings up is jealousy and how that is just an indicator. It's just a thing that says, hey, you want that.
Yeah.
That's something you want. And that's what the real friends don't feel threatened. They feel motivated. They're like, oh, look at what he's doing. Oh, dang. Man, I wonder if I could do that.
Yeah.
Or they don't feel like jealous. They feel like good for them, happy.
100%. And I think there's 2 different reactions that you can have to that situation when you see somebody succeeding, because at the end of the day, it's a mirror for you. I remember my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time. We were like brand new, early partners, and we went to this conference together, almost like a business self-development conference. And I didn't resonate as deeply with like everything that was taught. And so we both came out of the conference and he like slayed. Like he was like, working out, and he was like doing amazing in business and having like these incredible results. And I was sitting there like, all bummed and like, oh my gosh, like this conference sucked and like I didn't get anything out of it. And I was watching him like kill it. And I remember going to my coach at the time. I went to like a mastery coach, and I was like, Paul's doing amazing. This was back in 2015. And he was like, Paul's doing amazing, but I can't even, do this, and all these bad things are happening. And the coach said to me, like, Julia, like, you are comparing yourself to him. He's on a completely different journey than you.
Yep.
Stop
Yep.
comparing yourself to him and start comparing yourself to yourself. And I think that message always stuck with me. And as I watch, people succeed and others succeed, and as I've succeeded, I've lost, friends over the years. And I think that the biggest thing is that when you are successful, or when someone is successful in your life, they are a mirror. It's literally a mirror for either what you're doing or what you are not doing. And you can react in 2 different ways. So the first way is you can go, wow, like this motivates me. This is really cool that this person is doing these things. And like you said, like have it motivate you and be a very powerful pusher for you to do all the things that you want to do. Or you can also look at it and let it be a very negative mirror of this person's doing this, and you can make excuses of why that person is. Oh, that person got lucky, or that person, did this, or they ended up in the right room with this person. And so when you go into that place, it's also catching yourself and think, hey, like this is not healthy. What is it about their success that is a mirror for mine, and what am I not doing that I should be doing that's causing this to be triggering for me? And so it's really like looking inward and figuring out why you're having that feeling in the first place. And as long as you can catch it and move through it, then you can grow.
Yeah. And the triggers are just clues. They're like, oh, hey, this is something where you still need to work on this. or this is something you still need to heal or process. And when we're rubbed the wrong way, or we feel a certain way about someone or something, that is because we don't like it in ourselves. It's not about the other person. And that can be a hard pill to swallow, right? But if we're truly on a journey to be our better selves and all that stuff, then that's when we need to stop and go, okay, I need to take a look at this. The other thing was the service. Now I have spent my entire days in service. Like I wasn't working. All I did was volunteer. And that was a really wonderful time in my life. My kids were in school, in middle school, and I was able to volunteer on the PTA and at the church and all the things. I was on the worship team. I was, facilitating studies and leading choirs and all kinds of things. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time. However, I know that there are people, especially women, that get so good for lack of a better word, good at being of service, that they are emptied out and they're not filling back up. And they're giving and giving and giving. And I myself got to that point. And it takes a while to get yourself back out again. So while I do believe in servant leadership, I think that is different than serving to the point where you're completely empty and drained. And so I always want to bring that up and just make sure that we talk about the fact that we don't want to give so generously that it's to our deficit. Right? It's really important to
this again balance.
Yeah, Corinne, I can't remember her last name. What's Corinne's last name?
Corinne Hamilton. She was a guest on here.
Yeah. She's the one that put it so eloquently. She's like, you know what? You can have the whatever's in my saucer, but what's in my cup is mine. But if it's overflowing, I can give it. You can come and you can take, but you're not getting what's in my cup. And I thought, oh, what a good analogy. What a good metaphor.
Yeah. I love that. And it's funny because everybody has different meanings behind, different things. And so when I say service, what I'm talking about is the intention that, it's really where your heart is. I'm, I go above and beyond for my clients. I always have, I always will. I'm never going to be like the boundary coach that's like, I will never spend 5 extra minutes with you. Right. But at the same time, I'm never up at 2 a.m. responding to my clients, when it's 8 p.m., I'm putting my kids to bed. And so I absolutely have, parameters around what I do and work and things like that. But when I am working, I am working. When I'm serving, I am serving. There's no piece of me that's doing it for any other reason than taking care of the person in front of me. And that is what I mean when I say showing up in service.
I love that. That's really good.
And that's a great way of being able to, really have that. Because I think sometimes we think about it that we do things without the intention, or thinking about setting the intention. Because sometimes we help and things go wrong. Understanding of, okay, my intent was here. Like I had the intention of this before all that happened. If something feels a little bit off or ends up not aligned, my intention all along was this, and that I always have felt like that also helps when we're looking at how we're working in service and stuff like that. I'm always intending to be in service. But like you said, there are some boundaries that need to be up. I give more than others, which also then means I need to remember to back off when it's time, because people will take as long as you're willing to give, and you're the one that has to kind of back that off. So
set the boundaries.
Like, you say, well, hey, this is here. I've set I may not be that stern coach at 5 o'clock, but by the time my family really needs me, I'm getting off. Let's hang up and let's get this all wrapped up and that kind of thing, so that I do have that time, that balance, and I'm not totally wore out at the end of the night.
Well, it circles back to operating from a place of abundance, right? And not this feeling of depletion. I wrote about this well, it's been a few months ago, but I was just observing, and I noticed that when I get tired, I don't get enough rest, or I work more than and I start to feel resentful. Oh, I've got to get this work done. And I don't allow time and space for just rest. I love my quiet. I love being alone. Um, and doing things solitary. I was basically an only child. So that's just like my what's the word? My equilibrium, my status quo. It doesn't feel I don't feel alone. I don't feel, like it's not a place I need to be. It feels like the place I need to be. So I react to stressors and challenges much differently when I am well rested in a place of abundance, right? Abundance of rest and sleep and joy and fun and all the things, accomplishment. I do want to feel like I've accomplished something, that I've achieved something, that I've served someone. And those are all things that fill my cup. So when we operate from that place of abundance, you get a little bit of a different person than someone who, say, has been, hasn't had enough rest or hasn't been sleeping well for a few days and faces a challenge. You get someone who's a little snippier, a little shorter, not quite as friendly or kind or gracious, right? But when we operate,
we had an interesting analogy. Sorry.
Go ahead. An interesting
analogy this morning in Recalibrate about the cup isn't even the same size. Like it from day to day or from moment to, like, the cup may not be the same size. Today it may be the size of a bowl and it's not quite full yet, so you don't have anything to give. Tomorrow you could feel like you woke up with an overabundance and your cup is smaller today and you can overflow it faster and that kind of thing. So that was a great analogy this morning in our group, where it was the cup isn't even the same size. Some days it may be a bowl that you're trying to fill, so you don't have it or whatever, or you have this tiny little cup and it's overflowing magically. So
and
that
I think
was
it depends on like what we've done the day before, right? And the day before, and the day before, and the day before. It's ongoing. It's that consistency. It's not a one and done. It's a daily practice of giving ourselves space and time and for the things that fill us up. So, but when we're in that place, when we're operating from that place of abundance, where this is something that Julia, you said, when I operate from abundance, I show up in my full power and I attract the people. You attract your people because of that energy. Where do you see that happening for you?
Yeah, I mean, so when I say, when we're talking about filling our cup, I think it comes back to the, the old airplane analogy of like putting the mask on before you put it on others. And so to me, that's 100% necessary. My sleep is 100% priority. The time that I spend with my children, 100% priority. The time I spend with my husband, 100% priority. I love to take baths. Like, it's like my time to relax, and I take like nice long hot baths. 100% priority for me. And so when you talk about showing up in your power, it's like, okay, so I've laid the foundation for myself. I've made it so that I am 100% ready. And so now when I turn my laptop on and I show up on a podcast, or when I am coaching a client, I am 100% present, and I am 100% able to give every piece of me and every zone of genius that I have, whether that's helping someone with an objection or helping someone book a sales call or talking on a podcast with you about abundance. I am able to show up 100% in my power. I am giving you my all, and I am giving you presence, right? And so I hope that answers your question. But if I didn't do those things, like if I never took a bubble bath and I hadn't seen my kids in a week and I hadn't taken a date night with my husband and I didn't sleep 8 hours last night, you'd be seeing a very different version of me. You know, and one that maybe like you wouldn't invite back on the podcast. I don't know. You know, maybe my hair would be sticking up. You know, and so it's really like showing up and, you know, taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And, you know, that's when you can show up and you can really live in this place of being fulfilled and like waking up every day and your feet hit the floor and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to do something awesome today. But all of those pieces have to come into play. So I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you want me to
Well,
go deeper.
Yeah, let's talk about some experiences where you've been like, oh, it clicks for you. I attracted that particular person or service or client or what have you because you were operating from that place of abundance.
Yeah. So, clicking for me. So, I think it's just something that happens naturally in marketing when you are in your power and when you're being yourself. You will attract the people so like for instance, if I were to, you know, do a 30-minute podcast episode, right? There are people that will listen to me and they will instantly be turned off by me. They just won't like me, right? And that's a good thing. That means that they're not my people and they're meant to work with somebody different. There are also people that will listen to me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Julia's my gal. I live in Florida too. And I also, you know, like to put my kids down and take super long hot bubble baths. And so there's a reality of just showing up in your power and being who you are authentically online. And when you do that, and not just online but just everywhere, and when you do that, you will attract your dream people and you will repel the people that are not meant for you. And that's something that will happen automatically, but you have to be in it and you can't fake authenticity. You're either
Right.
authentic or you're not.
Yeah.
I think people get scared of that authenticity. And even part of the podcast, like when we were talking before, like it's you know, more of the conversation. I think there is that fear. And once you finally get past that, when you're like, oh, I'm done with that fear of it, there's a real good enlightening feeling to that, where it's like, okay, why? I'm not worried about who's just gross by or just turned off or just whatever. Like if you turn away and you're done and you don't want to hear me, whatever it is about me, I take zero offense to it. Yay for removing yourself. That was one less thing I had to do. And that sounds so harsh, but I'm like, that's exactly what that is. You removing yourself was yay for me too, and great, because that would have been difficult no matter how much we tried to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it's scary, yes, but there's really no other option, because if you show up and you're just, you know, vanilla or cookie cutter, or you're trying to please everybody and you're not showing up as who you are, you're not going to attract anybody. You know, you're not going, like, people aren't going to resonate with you, because at the end of the day, right, we're all human. We all have our quirks. We all have our things that we're good at and that we suck at. And at the end of the day, when you're real and when you are who you really are, that's how you attract your tribe, right? If you're trying to appease the masses, then you're not going to attract anybody. Nobody's going to resonate with you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good example, like from my own business, where, you know, I just attracted someone that I really, really enjoy working with. But what's coming up instead is the person that I attracted that is challenging. I have a client that's very challenging. Almost every call, not every call. It's getting better. And I mean uncomfortable as in being very accusatory, being very critical, being a little uncooperative, like just kind of a challenge. And so I continued to work with her. Oh shoot, I shouldn't have said her. But anyway, I mostly work with women, and that doesn't give anything away. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I think what I did attract her because those were ways that I needed to practice. I need to practice giving someone grace and being patient. I needed to swallow my pride a little and go, yeah, you're right. I made a mistake. I'm going to own it. And that's just as important as doing things well is owning when you make the mistakes and making them right. And in the end, she said, I was watching you and I saw the way you handled that. And it was very impressive. And, I definitely want to keep working with you because of the way I handled a bad situation. From not you get it. It was a challenge. It was a challenge for me. For whatever reason, I attracted that. Is there an example from your business where you feel like maybe not necessarily that you attracted someone who was challenging, or maybe you attracted someone that was like the perfect client, you love working with them?
Yeah, it's so funny because anytime I work with somebody privately, I always ask myself, would I want to go have coffee with this person? Because if I wouldn't, and if I wouldn't want to spend a lot of time with that person, I won't take them on as a private client. And, I think that there's also a reality that when clients like that come in that you're talking about, because I've had a couple of decently sized online businesses at this point. And I think that for me, it's less about me attracting them. And it's almost like there's no way to be perfect with the marketing. I'm very specific with my marketing where I speak to a certain type of woman, but there's always people that will come through the cracks. Like I think that, I can't remember who said it. I heard a really large business coach say this in the last week or so, but she's like, there's always going to be a couple crazies that come in. Like, it's just part of business, right? It's literally part of running a business that there's always going to be like a couple of people that come in that just are not aligned. And, like you said, like, it's really about how you handle it. And are you going to handle it in integrity? And how are you going to move through it? Are you going to renew that person? Probably not. But, you can still show up in your power and show up in integrity and all of that. So, I think, I've had the privilege of working with a lot of clients that I absolutely love. And I definitely can see myself, spending time with them, being with them. Like I have a support call today and I can't wait. I'm going to go on and I'm going to talk to all of them and help them. And we're going to move through things in business. And so, but again, I think it comes down to the beginning, like who we're talking to in our marketing and in our messaging and in our content. And are we fully being ourselves? And then 95% of the people that come in should be dream clients. And there's always going to be like the handful that come in where you're like, whoa, like, what am I going to do with this person? But I think that's also part of running a business. And I have yet to ever work with a business owner that hasn't had that happen in some capacity at some point when they get to a decent size business, 6 figures, mid 6 figures, 7 figures.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was the wellness business that you were in before?
Yeah, so I was in sales for over a decade, and then in 2020 I started a health and wellness business. So I helped women lose weight. I helped women. My niche was plus size women. I helped plus size women get to a healthy weight. And so I did that from 2020, but I really didn't launch anything till 2021, all the way to last year is when I really kind of put it in the shelf. I took a really long maternity leave and then I moved into sales coaching from there.
Gotcha. Was it with a particular brand or was it your own brand?
It was my own company. Yeah. So
Nice.
it was my own company. It was my baby.
Aw. That's I love that you call it that because they are our business baby.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter, she's in her 30s, and she says she's the mother of this particular business that she started with her partner, and it really she put her everything into it, and it really was her business baby. Really, it really
Yeah.
is.
I think it should be, when you run a business, starting a business isn't easy. Growing a business isn't easy. Being a business owner is not an easy job. And so I think that there has to be a love and a passion for what you're doing. Because if you don't have it, it's really hard to have that grit.
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries.
For those listening and not watching, my partner just walked through my office. So anyway, such is the way we work and live now, right? So many of us do work from home or have our own businesses, and it's. I remember in 2019, it was cutting edge. It was leading edge. If you're anybody in your corporate environment worked from home, that was a very sought after thing, and now it's so commonplace. It's so commonplace. It's not a big deal if somebody's walking through the office. Um, while you're on a video call. Video calls weren't even like that, was just for those top level executives in the corporate world back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And now everybody is doing, children are doing it.
Hmm.
It's amazing the growth we've seen since COVID. I think COVID was a huge turning point for that, for all of that. In the corporate environment that I was in, I was kind of advocating for renting the office desk space so that people could work from home. And then whenever they needed to come into the corporate offices, we just had a bank of desks and they would just reserve it just like they would a meeting room, right?
I love that. That's
Yeah.
actually a great idea.
I thought so. I pitched the idea to the chief of staff, and he left soon after that. But anyway, and so did many people. But anyway, so one last question. I think we're out of time. We're going to let you go. But one of the things I'd like to ask is, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self about, not just about business, but just about whatever challenges you've had to face. And hindsight's always 2020, right? But there may be somebody out there facing one right now that this piece of advice could be very helpful for. But what's that one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
That's such a great question.
I know, I love this question.
Yeah. Usually I take these and I take like a week to
I
come up
know,
with
I
the
put you on
answer.
the spot.
No, I don't mind at all. I think for me, just if anything, like if I could go back to my younger self, like I would just give her a really big hug. And I think just let her know that whatever standards she had at the time, whatever she thought she could become, there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it. There's nothing that she couldn't do. If I look back at my younger self and if I like had a cup of coffee with her and told her the things that we've done, the life we live, um, she I don't even think she would believe it. Because it's just
Wow.
so beautiful, like
Cool.
I am so grateful for the life that I get to live, and I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't grow up with a lot of education. I grew up in a small town. My mom worked in a factory, and the things that I've built from the ground up and just the grit that it took and the way that I believed in myself and showed up day after day after day when things didn't seem to work. And I know that, like, I look back at her and she was in the middle of it. Like, she was in the middle of the muddiness, and I know there were times where she didn't think that she was going to, have the things that I have now, a beautiful relationship, a beautiful family. I'm very blessed. Like I'm in my summer house right now, and so we have two homes, and I've gotten to experience life in such beautiful ways. I've traveled the world. And I think that she didn't even see, like, if I could have went from here to here, she only saw this. And I think that just sticking through and seeing the good and focusing on the good and knowing that, like, literally life gets to be as big as you want it to be and you can have anything that you want.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. So one of the things that you shared was a podcast episode you did earlier, and I meant to go and listen to it. Didn't get a chance, but I want to go listen to it. And it's the Best Coach Ever podcast, and you talk about nice girls sell better selling without being salesy. And that's the thing. Like, I don't like being salesy. So we'll drop the link for that podcast as well as all of your socials and your website. And then you said you had a couple of freebies for our listeners.
Yeah, so I have a few things. I have a masterclass. So if you're an online business owner and you're looking to book sales calls to make sales, I have an online, it's a free masterclass. It's about 45 minutes and it teaches you how to book 5 to 10 sales calls per week inside your business. So she said she'll drop the link to that. I also have it linked in my socials. I'm at Julia K Sales. I also have a DM transition guide. So again, like talking about feeling salesy, if you never know what to say in the DMs, like maybe someone reaches out to you and you're like, oh, like I don't want to sound pushy, but I also want to talk about what I do. That guide shows you exactly how to have a casual conversation and then transition it into your business without being salesy, pushy, awkward, or any sales bro tactics, anything like that. We are very against those here. I also have my own podcast that's coming out this month. If I my business manager, I have to look, I think it's this month. It's called Nice Girls Get Rich Faster. So that'll be available soon as well.
Oh, I'm right. I'm going to type. You're all fast. I'm typing.
Yeah.
Nice Girls Get Rich Faster.
Yes.
Okay. So
Great.
you're going to send us the links for all that. We will share those in the show notes. So whenever you're listening to this, all the links for anything we've mentioned today will be in the show notes. And then one of the things we like to do at the end of our podcast is we want to introduce next week's guest. And it's always nice when the current guest introduces the guest for next week. And our guest next week is Becky Whetstone.
So excited to introduce her. So, Becky Whetstone, PhD, is a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed professional counselor based in Little Rock, Arkansas. With a PhD from St. Mary's University, she developed marriage crisis management, a groundbreaking approach that helps couples facing separation make informed and healthy decisions. She's a formal journalist and an author of I Think I Want Out: What to Do When One of You Wants to End Your Marriage. Becky combines communication expertise with therapeutic insight. Her work has been featured in Huffington Post, Newsweek, and the London Times, and she hosts the Marriage Crisis Manager YouTube channel.
I met Becky. She found us organically, which I love that. And I chatted with her, and she goes, I've been married. I think I shared with her, I've been married and divorced 3 times. She goes, girl, I've done it 4. And that was one of the things that she said, that's what I lead with. I've been married and divorced 4 times, 3 or 4 times. Let's just get that out of the way. Because, that's the first thing they're going to look at. If you're a marriage counselor, then why did your marriage fail? Like, so many times or whatever. Let's just get that out there. And I love that about her. So I'm really looking forward to talking to her. She just sounds like a really cool chick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she does sound cool.
So that will wrap it up for today. The only announcement we have is check out ftcpodcast.com. We are looking for beta testers for our new community. It's free.
Wait, hold on. We are now TikTok instead of LinkedIn. So if people are looking to come join us live, you can always join us live on TikTok now as well. So there was a change made this week. So we were trying it out and would love for you to come support us over there as well.
Yeah. So if you're watching it, I know we've got one person out there right now watching on YouTube. If you're on TikTok, go check us out on TikTok. And we live stream on Facebook as well. And up until today, we were live streaming on LinkedIn. So past episodes are live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and then Spotify that has video now. But we also go out to all the podcast platforms. But yeah, our full episodes are now live streaming on TikTok. Thanks for the reminder, Lauren.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next week with Becky, and we're live every Monday at 12 Eastern. So come join us. And Julia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Yay! Cool. All right, guys.